What is going on, guys? This is The Booth with Taylor and Brandon. We're back with a brand new episode number 8 of the series. Taylor, you went blurry, man. You've been drinking too much eggnog this Christmas month, huh?
We
need to refocus that,
let's
man.
just go blurry, man.
I feel like I'm wearing your glasses, man. I feel like I'm seeing what you're seeing.
That's close to what I see. I don't know what's going on.
You gotta refocus. Try to get your hand up there and listen. It wouldn't be the booth if at the beginning of every show something
didn't happen.
Yeah, something didn't happen.
I don't know what is going on.
Maybe turn your camera off, turn it back on. Maybe your camera's just you're so attractive. Your camera's just trying to save the world.
I'm so ugly I broke my camera. That's the old saying, right?
That's probably the more realistic. I'm just kidding.
That is absolutely the most realistic. There we go.
There we go. Look at that.
We here at the booth may have issues, but we're so technologically advanced, we can fix it.
We fixed it before Jimbo Fisher could fix his program over there at Texas A&M.
Ooh, that is true.
I think your camera actually hit the transfer portal. So
it probably did. It has Texas A&M written all over it. So
I thought you were a Sooners fan.
Well, the camera's from Texas A&M. That's why I hit the transfer portal.
Oh, gotcha.
This isn't last year.
All right, so let's get right into it. First of all, since we're doing this during the game, guys, for the NFL game tonight for Thursday. Normally we're gonna be on Tuesday. We're doing it Thursday. Stuff happens. All right, who you got tonight for the NFL for this game, real quick, for our predictions?
I'm going to go with the Bills.
All right, I'm going Bills as well, so we'll even split that, and that's it. All right. Let's get to the college football playoffs. Obviously, Michigan triumphed over Ohio State. We did not see that one coming. We both picked Ohio State last week. We did say that if it was a close game, that they both deserved to be top 4, but Ohio State lost by 3 scores. Now they're sitting at number 5. With Michigan at 2, UGA at 1, TCU at 3, and USC at 4. Do you think that if TCU loses the championship game, that Ohio State somehow sneaks back in? Is that fair to TCU, even though Ohio State's not going to a championship game?
I believe so, yes. Ohio State.
What?
Look, if TCU loses their championship game and they're sitting at number 3
with
right
one
now.
Loss.
Ohio State had 1 loss to a top 4
but
team.
They're not even going to the Big Ten championship game. So you're going to penalize a TCU team losing a championship game when Ohio State is not even going to the championship game.
If TCU loses to Kansas State, who's not a top 10, not a top 15 team in a championship game, and they're sitting at number 3 right now, that bumps them down.
I'm starting to think you did drink too much eggnog, sir.
Ohio State lost to a top 4 team, and they dropped all the way out of the top 4. Now, Ohio State hands down, day in and day out, would run track all over TCU.
Listen,
and
CJ
USC.
Stroud cannot win the big one, man.
He absolutely could.
No, he hasn't won. He hasn't won. He hasn't won Jack Nitty. If that's even a word.
I don't think it is. But you're telling me right now, TCU is sitting at number 3, and they go up against Kansas State, and they lose to Kansas State. Let's say they lose by 3 scores.
If they lose by 3 scores, yes, they drop out. But if they lose by 1 touchdown or they keep it within reasonable 10 points, then no, TCU stays in my opinion. You can't penalize a team from going to the championship game. Well, you might as well put Bama in. Bama's not going to the championship game. Technically, Bama's higher ranked than LSU, even though LSU beat them. Bama's higher ranked than Tennessee, even though everything's going Tennessee. Obviously, Hendon Hooker's hurt, but Milton looked pretty good stepping in.
So
I mean, this is
Michigan. So OSU lost to Michigan, who was an undefeated team.
Yes.
If TCU loses to Kansas State, they would have lost to a team with 3 losses on the season. That should automatically, regardless of what the score is, bump them out of the top 4, and it should push in Ohio State. That's my opinion.
All right. So, what about USC? What happens if USC loses?
if USC loses, I mean, they drop out. Ohio State bumps in. That's the only logical move because if Ohio State drops,
Ohio State sneaks in. So what if? Okay, so TCU wins, and say it's not decisively. Let's say it's not like by 3 scores. Say it's pretty close, but they win. Do you still bump them out for Ohio State because you think Ohio State's just a better team? Do you penalize them for winning, even if it's not by a lot?
No.
What if they go into quadruple overtime?
Can I see the committee going in and saying, "Yeah, we're going to take Ohio State over"?
That will be a riot.
They're already in the top 4.
I will join that riot
before.
I will join that riot down there in Texas.
I can't remember what year it was, but Ohio State was sitting at number 4, and they were making they were doing their final picks for whatever for the college football playoffs. Ohio State was sitting at number 4, and they passed up Ohio State and picked who was at number 5. There's a potential it could happen because when the committee looks at it, they're going to say strength of schedule. Then they're also going to say, which TCU has had a pretty decent schedule. I can't fault them for the schedule that they've had. But you see
can only
who they
play the
played.
games you're handed. You can only play the games you're handed.
Yeah, exactly. But when they say, all right, who's better, TCU or Ohio State? If you put them on an even playing field, Ohio State's win that game 10 times out of 10. And you cannot convince me.
You know what? How about we just put every undefeated team in the top 4? Jackson State, I'm putting your name in there. Shadur Sanders, Shiloh Sanders, Travis Hunter, Kevin Coleman, Deion Sanders. Take your squad, go to the college football playoffs, and let me see it. I think they would put up a decent fight.
They would put up a fight, okay? They would put up a fight, but if you put them up against an SEC team, that's a wrap.
It's the SEC. Come on. We got the dogs. We got the dogs in us.
SEC is the top. They're the top. They're the pinnacle of college football. And, you can't say otherwise. Anybody that says, oh, no, it's the Big 10 or no, it's the Big 12 or no, it's the Pac.
Well, yeah, I mean, Georgia's clearly the number 1 team in the nation. And for all the Georgia listeners out there, I'm starting to pick up a new language, so you might understand this one. The dogs, go dogs. You want
me to toss you a bone?
Oh man, you Georgia fans are wild, man.
There's a chance that Ohio State gets in.
There's a chance. So there's a chance that Coastal Carolina gets in if the committee allows it.
But look, all of this in 2 years is going to be a problem of the past because we're going to be moving into a 12-team playoff system, which I think is a little aggressive.
I think 8 would have been a better
I think
selection.
6 to 8 teams would have been good.
Because now with 12, it's pointless for bowl games at this point.
Yeah.
So.
No, well, yeah, I mean, kind of.
If you're not making the playoffs, half all your good players are going to be like, yo, I'm either out transferring or I'm going to hit the NFL draft.
Well, so if we look at it this way, most of these players that go into a bowl game that's not in the top 4 for a playoff game, they're already sitting out anyways. Or they hit the transfer portal early, or the coach leaves, or something happens. It's already happening right now. So expanding it to 12 teams will minimize the amount of players that sit out. Because, if they're like, all right, so this game means we continue in the playoffs or we go home packing. Every single player on that team is going to play. Yeah. There's no question about it. Whether they're declaring for the draft or not, there's a chance of that championship. So it reduces the amount of players that are going to drop out, which I understand why players do that, but I hate it at the same time. You played this whole season, and it used to be, okay, we still have a shot at going out and winning a ring in this bowl game. Let's go out and kill it, But now it's like, oh, we're playing in the Charmin toilet paper bowl game out in Wyoming or something. Players are like, I'm going to pass on that, and I'm going to get ready for the draft.
I could see if the players made some money off it, but at the end of the day, the bowl games, the money just goes back to the school. So, I mean, and then the coaches, when they get a little bit extra, like a little bonus.
Yeah. And that's why I understand it, because there's not much in it for the players. They've already they're not going to prove anything more in one single game at the end of the season than they have the entire season.
They can't risk
injury. Why risk injury when you're about to declare for the draft?
Or
Hendon Hooker
transfer.
was.
If you're planning on transferring,
exactly. So I get it, but I hate it. As a fan of football, I want to see the team go out there and play their best football. But I understand not wanting to hurt yourself and drop your stock in the draft.
Yeah. So, who is? before we move on, I want to know who is your top 4 for the college football playoffs. Like, who do you think is your 4?
I hate to say it, but I'm gonna have to stick with what it is. Because
even if
like you said,
TCU loses, you can play that factor in. Say TCU loses. So if your top 4 best teams.
If TCU loses, I have Georgia. I have. I'm gonna slide Ohio State in. I'm gonna bump TCU out, and I'm gonna push Ohio State in. They're gonna take the 4 spot. USC takes the 3 spot. Michigan at 2. And then Georgia at 1. That's what I would do.
So we play this scenario. USC loses, TCU loses. Then you got people pushing Alabama, and even Alabama lost to LSU, but obviously LSU dropped. And then Clemson's not even sniffing the college football playoffs.
No, Clemson's not even a factor in this at this point. So, all the top 6 teams could lose, and Clemson's still not a factor in this, in my opinion.
So do you think, because there's going to be SEC bias, but do you think, a lot of people are going to say Bama's better than TCU. But if TCU has 1 loss and Alabama has 2, and they're not even in the championship game. And
so this is my thing. If a team has 2 losses, they should automatically be disqualified from the college football playoffs. But with that said, it's Alabama, SEC team. The committee loves Alabama. They love SEC teams. So I think if USC, TCU loses, that is a clear and open path for Alabama to scoot in at the number 4 spot.
Okay. My top 4, I said I'd leave it as now. I think even if TCU takes the L, and then even if USC takes the L, USC's at 4. Here's the difference. I would keep TCU and even with an L as long as it's not a blowout. But if USC loses, I could see Ohio State sneaking back in. Just because the Big Ten is obviously a better group or a better conference than the Pac-12. Pac-12 you got like Oregon and UCLA, but that's it. And none of those teams are sniffing, what Michigan is. So then I would put Ohio State in for USC if USC loses to, I believe they're playing Utah in the Pac-12 championship. That's what I would do. But I'm gonna.
So this is my thing.
Nation, I am standing with you. Okay, come after Taylor. Don't come after me. I am standing with you.
This is my thing. So at the beginning of the season, we both say this is the loss counts, or when you lose a game is extremely important. If you're going to lose a game, lose it at the beginning of the season. Because when it comes down to where we're at now, if TCU loses, they have to drop at least 2 spots, in my opinion. I know Ohio State got blown out.
Oh, they're 3. So I guess 5. I got you. I was like, maybe push them like 6 or 7.
No, so Ohio State was number 2 and lost to the number 3 team, and they dropped all the way to number 5.
But they got blown out.
TCU is going to play number 10 Kansas State with 3 losses. If they lose to that team, they have to drop at least 2 to 3 spots.
No, not. Unless it's a blowout. Unless it's a blowout. No.
A 3-loss team beats an undefeated team. They have to drop at least 2 to 3 spots.
Who says Taylor? Taylor? That's what Taylor said.
If Ohio State, a undefeated team, loses to another undefeated team who's in the top 4 of the college football playoffs, it's bumped down 3 spots. A TCU team who loses to a 3-loss team who's number 10, not in the top 4, has to drop at least 2 or 3 spots this late in the season.
All I'm going to say is we shall see.
And TCU wouldn't have a conference championship, so technically they automatically have to be out if that's the case.
All I'm going to say is we will see. All right, but I think TCU. I
don't
wins.
think TCU is going to lose. I don't think they're going to lose. That I want to make that clear. I don't think TCU is going to lose to Kansas State at all. I don't think that's
the only
even
team
a
that's going to
possibility.
drop potentially is USC if they lose because they're right on the fringe. And
I don't see USC losing to Utah. Utah also has 3 losses, And USC has, in my opinion, the Heisman Trophy winner this season by far. After what I saw this past weekend, and Lincoln Riley. What I saw this past weekend, without a doubt, he's the Heisman Trophy winner.
He is phenomenal.
Can't convince me any otherwise.
Phenomenal.
So I can't see them losing to Utah. A 3-loss Utah team, it doesn't make sense to me for them to lose. I can't see that happening.
I got you. Yeah, I still think it's going to be USC, like you said. TCU. I think what we have now is the final. I mean, that's it. Everyone else is playing
and unless some teams lose, but I don't. I mean, I don't see Georgia losing to LSU. I don't see USC losing to Utah. I don't see TCU losing to Kansas State, and I don't see Michigan losing to Purdue, who has 4 losses.
Hey, so. Purdue last year was the playoff killer, so you know, watch out.
Which is wild to me, the way that this stuff works out, that Michigan is playing Purdue in the championship game. It should just be a rerun of Ohio State and Michigan.
That's what I'm saying. So we talked about this last episode as far as like when the SEC comes in with Texas and Oklahoma, they're just going to make it the SEC, and you're going to make your schedule, and the top 2 teams play each other regardless.
Yeah, that's how it should be because Michigan versus Purdue for the SEC championship
Big Ten
is laughable. Big Ten, sorry, is absolutely laughable to me. Because that is, I mean,
the 3 best teams in the Big Ten are on the same conference in Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. Every other team is hogwash, at least this year. Yeah. So it's like Ohio State would dominate in the other division.
Oh, absolutely.
So maybe remix the, spice it up a little bit, take some dice and go, okay, you're going to go in this division, we're going to switch it up a little bit.
I think it should just be straight up like what SEC is going to do, what the Big 12 does. It's just straight up whoever's at the top's at the top, and then everybody trickles down with their records.
Now, I don't know if you heard about it. With the new 12-man playoff being enacted in 2024, Notre Dame and UConn cannot make the college football playoffs.
Good.
One of the stipulations is you have to go to a conference championship game. It doesn't matter if you lose it, but you have to go, and they're not in a conference; they're non-conference. So, do you think and that
I thought that was already a rule?
No, it's not. But with this 12-team expansion, it is now a rule. So, do you think that Notre Dame finally enters the Big Ten with Ohio State and Michigan? They take the other side where Purdue's at.
I mean, it's going to force their hand to join somewhere. I don't know where.
It's going to hurt recruiting if you go to recruit and go, you can't make the
You're not going to get anyone
game. But
that automatically. So the only thing people are chasing now is that championship. That's it. Nobody cares about bowl games. That's out the window.
Which means Notre Dame and UConn can only ever, if they don't join a conference, can only ever get as high as number 13 in the nation. Because if you 12, you're in the conference champion, or you're in the playoffs, so you can only technically be as high as 13. You already limited yourself.
They can rank them higher, but they just can't put them into a game. They'd have to replace them with somebody, and then somebody who's below. The committee.
Yeah, which would hurt the integrity of.
The integrity of the college football playoffs process is already out the window. That's the thing of the past.
SEC,
I
SEC.
am looking at the rankings rules real quick. Because I could have sworn, that you had to win a conference championship or play in one.
Well, Notre Dame almost went to the college football playoffs. Was it last year over Cincinnati or 2 years ago? Can't remember who, but they almost made the playoffs a couple years ago. That's the only reason why I say that. But I know, just seeing on Twitter today, they put it out. Hey, you got to be in a conference championship.
Let's see. I'll look this up later. I just wanted to see it for myself.
This got to be like the NCAA's way of grabbing Notre Dame and UConn by the balls and going, hey, we've got you. Make up your mind. Join a conference.
Oh, absolutely. and they should join a conference. They should not be able to slide by with not having to play a conference championship game and still be able to compete.
Pick and choose games that they want to play.
No.
Yeah. So, with that being